PREPS.com. I'm Evan Wren, and this is the Big Country Preps Wednesday night podcast. A weekly look at the area athletic scene, what happened last week, and what's going on this week. I'm here with my partner, Dan Youngblood, via Zoom. And tonight, Dan, we got a very special guest. We got Will Cates, the head football coach of Merkel, joining us.
Yeah, and then Coach Cates is doing a really good job this year. In year 3, has them at 4-1, only loss, a very competitive game against an undefeated Clyde team, and it was kind of an offensive classic. But got them rolling. They had a big win over Kahoma last week. Got the bye week this week before they start district next week at Dublin. So I'm excited to talk to Coach Cates. I know he's been building trying to build this program to this point. They're trying to take the next step forward. They made the playoffs last year, which was a nice step for them. Now they're trying to get to the level above that where playoffs are an expectation, playoff wins are an expectation. So it's going to be fun to see what this team can do the rest of the way. And I'm excited to talk to Coach Cates about it.
All right, before we start the show, let's thank a couple of our sponsors. Let's start with For the Love of the Game Broadcasting and our old friend Terry Slavens, owner of K-Lakes, 93.5 FM out of Breckenridge, 97.7 FM KATX out of Eastland, Classic Country AM 1330 out of Graham, 94.7 FM KWKQ out of Graham, KROO 1430 AM out of Breckenridge, and KWBY 98.5 FM out of Ranger. That's For the Love of the Game Broadcasting. Also, Rob Durham, sales consultant at Bayer Chevrolet Buick Cadillac up in Breckenridge. If you're in the market for a vehicle, new or used, give him a shout. He's one of the nicest guys you'll ever want to meet. Call him at 254-559-2266. That's Rob Durham at Bayer Chevrolet Buick Cadillac in Breckenridge. All right, before we get going, we want to remind you YouTubers to please hit the subscribe button. Hit the subscribe button, and then shortly thereafterwards, hit that little bell so that you'll get notifications each and every time that Big Country Preps comes up with a new podcast or video. So just hit that subscribe button. We appreciate it.
All right, we will jump into the podcast. We're going to talk to Coach Cates. We'll be talking a lot more about this Merkel Badgers team here in a little bit. Before we do, let's talk a little bit about last week. You were at Big Country Preps Game of the Week in Sweetwater. Saw Clyde really take it to the Mustangs. We mentioned that Clyde team being undefeated, off to a really good start. What were some of your impressions of that one?
It was a team filled with seniors playing a team filled with sophomores. That's basically what it amounted to. And granted, I picked Sweetwater to win. I think you did as well. But, at the end of the day, a big, strong, senior-laden team from Clyde put it to them. And it's just that simple. And the most impressive thing about that Clyde football team is its physicality. They are big, they're strong, they're nasty. I mean, that is a good football team that can go a long way. They've got all the tools.
Yeah, and I was over at Shotwell Stadium, saw Odessa Permian and defeat Cooper 41-20 in a game that could have been much, much closer. This Cooper team is kind of like that Sweetwater team, has a lot of young players trying to kind of find their way. They're kind of having some issues getting out of their own way at this point. They had several empty red zone trips, too many turnovers, but there's a team that I think by the end of the season will be significantly improved. It's just an issue of right now they're just going through some growing pains, and they've done it against what's a really tough non-district schedule. After their bye week, things don't get any easier. They open with Ryder, but just a tough one for Cooper, and it'll be interesting to see where they go from there. On the local front, Wiley ended their non-district schedule with a 10-point win over San Angelo Central on homecoming in a game that really wasn't even that close. Wiley really kind of took it to Central for their third straight win. That team's really putting things together. And then Abilene High opened district play with a dominating effort, 59-14 win at Lubbock Monterey, a game they led 49-7 at halftime. Quarterback Dylan Slack threw 5 touchdowns, ran for another. That's kind of we've only seen it twice this year. We saw it in the opener at Permian where Abilene High just dominated that game. Then we saw it at Lubbock Monterey. But when this Abilene High team puts it together and plays a complete game, they look scary good. So I'm excited to see kind of how they finish the season as well. But on the local front, that's kind of where we stand. Abilene's got their homecoming game this week against Tascosa, so that'll be an interesting one as well.
As for where we're going this week, I'll be heading to Gordonwood Stadium to watch one of Texas' top rivalries, Stephenville at Brownwood. That's one of those games where it doesn't really matter what has happened up to that point. You can throw everything out the window. But even if you don't, it stacks up as a great football game, probably a shootout. We shall see. It really depends on how well Brownwood runs the ball and dictates tempo as to what kind of score we have. And that's really where the battle lines are going to be drawn, in my opinion. And you're going to be heading out to Roscoe to cover Roscoe and Junction, and this will be the first time that Big Country Preps has had a look at the Junction Eagles, who are out of our coverage area. But I'm kind of excited to cover them. That's my wife's alma mater.
Yeah, and this is a Junction team that's really improved. They've played several teams in our area and really done well. DeLeon beat them, but they've had some other wins against area teams as well. And then the Roscoe, I'm excited to see this Roscoe team. I've obviously saw them in the playoffs a couple of years when they beat when they beat Santo. I followed them very closely and doing our reports and stats and things. I'm excited to get to see this particular group in person. This is one of those teams that's kind of been building to this point. They've got a lot of kids who've been playing since they were sophomores, some since they were freshmen. They're now juniors and seniors. And last week played a really good game against a top three new home team. Lost that game by only a touchdown, which I think tells you how good this Roscoe team is. And this will be a good test for them because, like we said, Junction is very much improved over kind of what we've come to expect out of that program. So I think this will be a really good test at home to close out non-district and really get into their district schedule. So I'm excited about this one. Brandon will be covering that Tascosa game at Abilene High. He'll be taking the local game this week. I'm going to hit the road and go get a view of this Roscoe team, and I'm excited about it.
All right, it's just about time to speak with Coach Will Cates, who has done a whale of a job with the Merkel Badgers. They're one of the surprise teams in the area, with quarterback Maddox O'Malley, who's really taken the area by storm with his productivity all around game. What an athlete! And it's going to be fun to see what they do with the rest of the season. And it's a competitive district that they're in. That's going to be a fun district.
Yeah, I'm super excited about it. Just see what they do in that district. I think this team has shown during its non-district portion that it is a significantly improved team, and I'm excited to see how that kind of carries over into district. And it looks like Coach Cates is about ready to join us. You about ready to get him on?
Absolutely.
All right, let's do it.
And joining us now, Merkel head football coach Will Cates. Coach, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Thank you guys for having us.
Coach, you guys are off to a 4-1 start. Tell us about how the community of Merkel is responding to the success. I bet it's just on its head right now.
Yeah, I think there's some uncharted waters here for our kids. I think that's there's a lot of pride and excitement right now. But myself and my coaching staff are trying to keep our kids grounded, knowing the district play awaits and what awaits in that district from a competition standpoint. We played some good teams, there's no doubt, in in non-district, and we've had a couple that their records aren't that great. So I think we have to stay humble. We have to keep working and kind of grinding and know what got us to this point. But you guys know everybody's 0-0 right now after the bye week and starting district play. So although we're excited about the success, we've got to have that mindset moving into week 1 of district play.
You've had major success in year 3. What were the keys to changing the culture? You had a job to do.
Yeah, I think I've said it. Consistency. We were really close my first year. It's one of those things where if you have an extra year with that first group that I had in 21, maybe there's some close games there. We had a Jacksboro team beat on the road. We had a Millsap team beat on the road. Of course, we had a great win versus Comanche the last game of the year here, and we're really close to 6-4, 7-3 that first year. But familiarity with system and there's all kinds of little intricacies in a season that cause you to have success or failure, however you look at it. But we had a great group of kids my first year. And then last year, the record didn't show it, but we knocked down some walls, making the playoffs. And really our kids played extremely hard versus Holiday in that first round. And Coach Johnson's group was a stellar team, had a lot more depth than us. But I think that was huge. Our kids, knowing that, hey, we kind of checked the box making the playoffs. And then the spring, 7-on-7 with the success we had in College Station, beating some good teams and really, beating the Holly team that in this part of the world, everybody knows, and it's got to be a shot in the arm for our kids from confidence. So I think that just carried over, right? And then you add in, of course, Maddox is playing quarterback for us. He's playing unbelievable football right now. He's still got a lot to grow. I mean, he's green and he's raw, but his playmaking ability has definitely set us apart. But I'm a huge Cowboys fan, so you find it hard pressed for me anybody argue about Troy Aikman with me, but he has some weapons too to go to, right? We have some great skill players. Our tailback is one of the hardest running kids, and he might be 145 pounds with all of his pads on, but he runs extremely hard, Connor Williard. So and then our line, we got three returning offensive linemen and four seniors up there. So there's a lot of good things that are happening for us from an offensive standpoint. And then defensively, we're still growing. We've made enough plays, but we just got to keep moving forward and excited about what the future holds, and really what this first week of district play is going to be like for us. And hopefully we get healthy and move into the first week guns blazing.
And Coach, along those lines, kind of culture building and those sorts of things, you've added some stability to a program that really needed it when you got there. Just how much has that helped, just to have that continuity where kids are coming up and kind of there's an expectation set to where they're not having major changes every year?
Yeah, I think it's huge. I've only replaced two coaches in 3 years here, so each off season we've replaced one guy essentially, and it's amazing, right? Our kids, they know what to expect from us. We know what to expect from them, and there's times that we know them better than themselves, right? I mean, the little nuances of, hey, how far can you push this kid, as opposed to one that you don't know, right? Like you know what's inside them, their capability, and I think that they know the level of consistency from us, right? And look, every year is different. Every senior class is different, so personalities change. So sometimes it's playing to the audience and knowing how to press those certain buttons with certain groups. But there's no doubt that us being here for 3 years has definitely lended itself to us having a small amount of success. I think to be honest with both of you, the biggest thing that we're trying to build is expectations and accountability in this program. The biggest thing is many of our kids, as I said at the beginning, is uncharted waters. How do you handle the success? There got to a point, in other places I've been, where it wasn't so much about winning; it was just not about losing. Right? You winning, you remember every loss, but winning just happened, right? Because of process and the expectation was, when we step on that field, we're going to win every game we play. And I'm very proud that I think we're trying to build that with these kids. We're a long way from creating just a level of dominance or anything like that. But the confidence is soaring, and it's fun to see.
And Coach, you mentioned Maddox, the season he's having. Obviously, a really special kid. I know there's a lot of people around the area that may have been surprised by the success he's having at that quarterback position. How about you? Did you expect this kind of production, or has he even surprised you a little bit?
Yeah, no, I knew it was there, but kids got to be ready, and kids got to flip a switch. And he was a little banged up at the end of track season. He it's one of those things that he can do anything with the ball in his hand. I call him a top 1%. I mean, he plays golf for us. He's a hooper. He does it all. He doesn't play baseball. He should, because he'd probably hit about 15 jacks and probably throw high 80s velo off the mound. But I'm not
Kid
surprised.
reminds me of me. He does. He reminds me of me. Really.
That top 1%, right? I tell them that all the time, but I am, they laugh because heck, I'm short and square. And I said, but guys, hey, I'll take you out on the golf course anytime. But no, he's a great athlete, but he's it's clicked for him. And there's a hunger there. There's part of it that's fun, where I think sometimes when it's maybe your last two raw, that clicks. And I think he's got a lot of ball after him after this, year and season somewhere. But he's definitely playing his best ball for the Badgers right now, and we're excited about it.
And you also kind of touched on the fact that he's far from your only weapon. Y'all have got a lot of guys at the receiver position, tight end position, running back positions that give y'all some balance offensively. How important has that been?
Yeah, it's huge, and I think that really those guys understand. There's chemistry that's built and trust amongst receivers, and but I think that it's kind of like, hey, if I don't make a play here, somebody else is going to, right? It's not just all on one guy, and I think that has been huge for our. It's not, hey, we got to throw it to this one receiver and this guy only. No, it's the spreading the wealth mentality of, hey, if your number's called, be ready, and you never know when it's going to pop, and you got to be you got to be locked in, and I think that's huge. I think it lends itself to kids buying into every play because you don't know when you're going to get the ball and whose turns it's going to be, and we just play team football, and whoever makes the play, let's roll on.
Coach, I know you're giving up more points than you want to give up right now. How much of that is just due to the low number of bodies you have? It's tough when you got a lot of two-way players and they're exhausted trying to play defense.
Yeah, it's 21-0 against Oklahoma at half last week. It's 40-0 versus Bangs at half a couple weeks ago, and I didn't play Maddox in the second half versus Bangs. He of course played last week, but when you say hey, kickoff return on or defense on, and three guys run off or two guys run off, and that's it, right? We replace two or three. There's a level of atrophy, right, in the second half. Some of it is just us, not executing at a good enough level yet. There's no doubt about that. But at the same time, it's just, we've got 25 now. We had a JV kid come up for depth, so we're 25 strong, and but of that, there's 14 or 15 that are on the field pretty regularly. So it plays a part, but at the same time, we've got to be better.
And last one, you touched on that district. I mean, that's been for years now a very, very competitive district. Looks to be a very strong district this year. Just y'all got the bye week this week, and then jumped right into that race. Just what are your thoughts on that race and kind of the challenges it poses?
Yeah, I mean, look, everybody's well coached. I think they're all I know Comanche's been a little banged up, and that records are what they are. I've seen Eastland on film. That was no surprise to me that happened last week. I'll be honest with you. I mean, I think they're a good football team. When we played them last year, that was the first time we beat them in 18 years. And the old Cow Palace is a tough place to play. We get them at home this year, so maybe that'll lend some good fortune to us. But I think everybody, Jacksboro to me is right now is the team to beat. They're just extremely talented across the board. You got good depth, good numbers, and then you round us out with Millsap and Dublin, and I mean it's just every week you have good teams, and records are out the window at this point because everybody is going to have a little boost coming into district play. No, I do. I think it's just a level of coaching and talent in this district that it's a tough district, and I feel I feel with Coach Johnson gone, I know Holiday's still good, but their style has changed a little bit, and so I think our district is going to represent itself well. Whoever comes out is going to me represent that district quite well in the playoffs, and we hope we're all fans of each other once it gets to that point.
Coach, I'm going to have to cut you short. Zoom is going to end this on us here, so we appreciate your time. Thank you so much for joining us. Good luck. We'll be keeping an eye on you.
All right, appreciate you guys as always. Yes, sir. All right, take care.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
And that was Merkel head football coach Will Cates, and what a job! I mean, what a job! It's not only a change in results. I mean, it's a change in culture. He's got the Badgers believing, and they're having fun. The fans are enjoying it. It's good to see because I mean there was sort of a coaching carousel going on over there where they had multiple coaches in just a few years, and getting that stability there and the fun is back. It's good to see.
Yeah, that's one thing I mentioned a lot on these podcasts and in columns and different things I do. That generally speaking, if you give coaches a time some time to build their program, to build some continuity, to build some expectations, this is about the time you start to see them programs take that step forward. So I think Coach Cates did some nice things in year one, some nice things in year two. This is the kind of the time where we're starting to see a lot of those things, kind of the foundation they laid during those years. They're starting to build on that, and you're starting to see a lot of these things come to fruition. So that's been fun, and it was exciting to talk to him. Coach Cates is a guy that we've gotten to know in his time in the big country. He's from a coaching family. His brother Matt now is the DC over at Wiley. He's got another brother that's the head coach out in the Metroplex at Richland. That is a football family, and it's always fun to talk to football people. So I was really glad we were able to get him on today.
All right, with that, it's about time to wrap up the Big Country Preps Wednesday night podcast. But before we do that, we want to remind you that we've got 3 separate subscription packages here at Big Country Preps. We've got a monthly for $5 a month. We've got a semi-annual 6-month subscription where we drop that price down to $4 a month. And then we've got an annual 12-month subscription where you drop that price down to $3 a month. That's $36 for a full year of Big Country High School athletic coverage.
We'd also like to remind you that if you ever see a photo you like in any one of our galleries, those are available for purchase. We have photo downloads available for $7, as well as some keepsakes and prints. So as you're scrolling through the site, take a look at that. You'll notice really quickly we take a lot of photos from these games we're at. We try to get to a lot of events. It's something we really enjoy doing and something we are very proud of here at BigCountryPreps.com.
All Big Country, all high school, all the time. Welcome home.